Start with the podcast. All right. Episode 18 was totally my fault. I apologize to anybody who attempted to listen to that but couldn't make out heads or tails of what the hell we were saying because our mics failed. But I'm leaving it up there because we are so close to 20. Literally, this is the last podcast that we will have to do on Spotify for podcasters because next month they will no longer offer this service for us. Sad face. So if you love us, all Joe Rogan, please like, subscribe for more, or follow us to YouTube or wherever the hell we're going next. Anyway, hey, what is up, Wolf? Let's go.
So yes, robots taking over our jobs. I knew it back in the day, invested into that shit.
Keeping it light and fluffy. Robots taking over our job. You invested into this company and now it's doing something?
Well, yeah, so the thing is, again, so everyone's afraid that robots are going to take over our jobs, but we all know everything needs to be automated. So you've got to stick in the middle where the robot, so to say, is not super intelligent like the one that committed suicide in the Amazon job. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, right? Yeah, everyone's all worried about robots and like within 10 seconds it's just like, no.
Yes.
So not that smart, but just smart enough, like the machine that shakes the fries and makes us foods.
So like people that are just smart enough to keep shaking the fries and dumping the food and making the food. Or the people who are just smart enough to repair the toilet faucet, but dumb enough to not get a company that creates toilet faucet repair services.
Something like that. So I believe it's kind of like what happened with the automotive industry back in the day when you used to have all these humans, you know, zapping and fucking doing all this stuff, and now you think an automotive line, there's like, what, 2 people walking around?
There's just
a bunch of machines fucking zapping shit, so that's the way of our food, folks. No more human love, no more touch on your food. They're like, here's your burger.
Oh, no, they can't sell food anymore. It has to be a food-like substance, too.
Oh, yes, forgot.
Sorry.
Protein-based, food-like, plant-based, nutrient supplement.
Yeah, let's keep it light and fluffy. So, what are you doing in this robotic dystopian era?
I'm investing in it, and I want to get fat on the hog on it, man. To me, like, you got to be in on it. I'm not going to wait by for mic drop Miso Robotics to be like, they're already half a billion. They were half a unicorn. For those of you who don't know what a unicorn company is, they're valued at $1 billion. I think before IPO.
Before IPO, yeah. They're a unicorn because they know that they're going to make money off of that. So investors flock to it. They pump up the stock, and then they have the IPO, and then all of those investors dump it. Blah. That's what happened to Twitter. Everybody was like, whoa, this is awesome. Let's all invest in it. And the first day of the IPO, it went from something like $80 to $55 a share. Something like that.
Wait, it dropped on the first day of the IPO?
It dropped on the day it was offered. Because all of the initial investors, all those angel investors, all those types that were paid in shares, wanted to dump their stuff, make their money, and let the market figure it out.
See, that's where a difference between, a trader or investor, and yes, I say with Miso Robotics, I've invested in them in a while, and even if they come out at, whenever I bought their shares, at $7 or something, I don't remember. Misquoting, folks, if I forget what share price they are, but let's just say it was $7.
Ballpark. Okay.
Yeah, let's just say it was $7, whatever, on the nose, right? And they come out with a valuation of 28. I'm not going to sell for 4 times, or I don't know. To me, I don't want it to be one of those like Netflix stories where they're like, if you would have invested $5,000 back in 2003, in 2020, you would have had over $1 million.
I heard that with Nvidia, and I know you just showed me that, but I heard that with Nvidia. Had you have invested $1,000 in Nvidia a year ago, you would have made $3,000 this past week.
You know what kicks me in the fucking ass, Wayne?
Bitcoin?
No, fuck that. Let's not even bring up that X, okay? Let's not bring up that X and that whole thing.
All right,
if we would have invested this back in, once we got out of high school, shit was like $2, $3. That's the best long-term investment I've seen because it's going to go even higher. I think it will get close to 2,000. I knew it would break over 1,000. Once I really started paying attention, he was hitting 500, 600, and I was listening and really what they're doing and all the company, they're going to hit probably close to 2, in my opinion. My humble, small investigation of stocks in the last few years.
Your vibe, that's what you got on this stock. Your vibe for this stock is that it may go higher.
I mean, semiconductors, getting government subsidies.
See,
not to mention that, involved in video games,
Yeah, well, I love NVIDIA, the GPU processor. Like they're literally selling pickaxes to gold rushers, and On top of that, well, no, they're just selling pickaxes to gold rushers because they've got the crypto market where their miners, the GPUs are used for mining stuff like Ethereum and all that other good stuff. And they're the hardware behind all this AI stuff that's just coming out too. So they're positioned to be really, really lucrative, or to have the next company that mimics whatever the hell they do and can copy it come in and really just crush it.
There are a couple like around that same genre. I haven't been following the rest of them, but I know I'm going to say this is like the Facebook of the social medias. This is the big one. So we'll see.
It's a good one. It's a good company. It really is. It's like
California based.
Let me kind of clarify on my whole like the competitor thing. I think Nvidia is going to have what Nike and Adidas had in the 90s. Just a real good rivalry, and they both did really well. Those companies did really well. Pepsi Coke, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, yeah, man, we're keeping it weird by having some kind of like discussion on our own personal finances. Because you got to control that destiny. There it is. I did it. No, all we got to do is tell somebody to suck a fart and raise a glass. Yay!
Well, for things I just saw on these little posts, they're like stuff that they should teach you in school that they don't.
Yeah,
personal
absolutely.
Financing,
Personal finance is up there.
Home maintenance, car
Taxes.
maintenance, Let's learn about this world war that may or may not have happened.
A world war that may or may not have happened?
Well, okay, so I knew this back in the day. Let's talk about World War I, for example. I knew how interesting that story was and how the entire world basically went to war over one assassination.
Yeah.
Which it seems pretty unlikely to me. And everything you've heard about the Black Hand, the group that was supposedly responsible for it, and et cetera.
No, I've never heard of the Black Hand.
It's just an interesting story, and I believe, if I haven't got my conspiracies mixed up, back in the whole, God damn it, this is where I get to smoke too much medicine. Those temples that had to do with the Grail and that priest who is in that French place. It's part of the Grail story where he all of a sudden got rich and made all these little temples everywhere around, and he had that knowledge, and it's got the temple where it actually shows the devil and shows Jesus as being a fucking twin and shit. And that shows that he was carried after his death. Anyway. Apparently that same priest has ties to that same Franz Ferdinand back in the day. And they're like, this is maybe where he got his money from or something, because he was not selling secrets per se, but again, you donate some serious secrets to a high-priced person, they're going to send some generosity your way.
And here I thought you were just recalling the Indiana Jones movie. Like, all right, let's go back to ripping some hearts out of some chests.
No. But anyway, back to the whole grounding and copper and fucking magnetics and everything. My God.
So you're tying that into that forbidden knowledge into that.
Shit, bro, I could get on some stuff. I was thinking about making a story tying Tesla into Tartaria. The real Nikola Tesla.
I really want to do some experiments, but I've got so many projects that I'm so bogged down in that I just put this on the back burner. And I'm like, if I showed people like we could have our YouTube revenue just pay for all of the experiments that we're gonna do, and then we're goofy and out there enough with our tinfoil beanies that like hopefully the CIA doesn't want to assassinate us.
That would be cool. I have to just say, look at this. Cool. It's the second anomaly. Look at this. See this feather? Look. Second one I've just watched float down out of nowhere. There's no fucking white bird anywhere over here.
No, those are under feathers
I just watched that one fall down. From what?
For doves and pigeons.
Where the fuck is the dove and pigeon at?
I don't know, man. Where the hawk's at? That's what you really want to know, because the hawks are the ones that rip out those under feathers because they're about to eat the dove or pigeon, whatever.
Okay, actually, you're a bird person.
It's not really a bird person.
Hold on, you've got some bird knowledge. Does it happen here and have another place? I've seen sparrows chasing big ass birds. What is going on with that?
They're literally getting the hawks out of their territory because they're trying to save their family. They're just trying to save their asses. They're the little kid that is standing up to the bully to prove that the bully has no backbone. pretty much. So they go after the hawk, and the hawk's like, oh my God, this guy's brave enough to chase me. I'm out of here. You know,
what it is?
I don't want to get hurt.
I was like, does that bird have rabies or something? I was like, what is it doing?
And it's not a sparrow, it's a little falcon. So there's a hawk and then a little falcon, and I forgot what it's called.
Really?
Somebody else can call me out on this, but they will chase them out of their territory. Yep, wow. Because the hawk will eat them too, because they're small enough. But the falcon's like, I ain't gonna take your shit, and they just stand up to the bully. That's basically all that's going on, and it's awesome. It's awesome to watch them, and they are successful every time. They chase that bully away.
I see it, yeah. It looks like the big bird is scared, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this little bird? I'm like, what?
Yeah, that little bird is sacrificing itself, so that way either its offspring or its family or its food supply can survive. Wow. That's exactly what's going on, and it's awesome. So cool.
It's just kind of like, that sounds like a man's trip to work every day.
Yep.
God.
So, take that in meekness, you know. But anyway, back to Copper and Terrence Howard and all that stuff. Let's go. Let's get fucking weird.
I'm gonna get some copper shoes or copper cane, some more copper bracelets.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to make copper bracelets, or they have copper shoes? You've looked at this?
No, there's all kinds of cool stuff like that. And then I've seen the infused copper or infused like crystal drinking devices.
Yeah.
The best one I've seen had like 13 of them kind of solid together, different crystals, different benefits.
Oh, that's
Change
cool.
the property of your water.
Change the ionization of it. So what really tripped me out about that Terrence Howard interview on the Joe Rogan cast is that he laid out the elements in a spiral, and you know, mathematically, like one element is just another element plus this ion or that proton or neutron or whatever the case it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just tripping me out, because it makes so much sense, you know. What was it? Nitrogen breaks down from carbon, or carbon breaks down from nitrogen, or something like that. That really threw me for a loop, because, you know, everything needs carbon to survive. Potash, carbon. Throw that into your garden. What do you get? Fruit. So that was trippy. Did I just step on you, man? What?
No, I'm listening.
You all right? You look like I just hit you in the gut, bro.
Oh, that's life for you. Gotta keep sharp, you know.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. Like, I feel really under-researched when it comes to some of the things that we're talking about, because I'm like, oh my God, surface level information. And that's it. That's all I get, because I get so much surface level information, I don't internalize or do anything of it. And I've seen that guy go off on the flower of life theory too, and that just trips me out, because there are no straight lines in nature. Legitimately, there are no fucking straight lines in nature. And you're like, what about a leaf? Well, a leaf does look like a straight line, but it kind of curves down, so it still has that curvature that goes on.
Okay, so I've had that same question, right? There's no right angles in nature and etc. There are some rocks, some minerals that literally are cubes that come out, and they're stuck in there, and they're like half of a cube.
Are they?
I've seen it. I'm at Gem World.
Are they manipulated, though?
I don't think so.
Because at Gem World, you get somebody with a pickaxe and a hammer, take it out of the ground and put it into the store.
Yeah, but you have like, I don't know. It seems like it does seem very natural. Maybe in a natural way, but there are some things. I question that, and I'm looking at these stones that are embedded in other things, and they don't have marks on them. It's a natural formation that comes out. So, I mean, there are it's plausible, I don't know, and I researched more into that, because it did throw me off when I was looking at them. As you see that one guy who was investigating, I think it was Utah, he was out there in the flats or whatever, and he fucking showed how there's like these giant blocks coming out of the fucking mountain. And it literally looks like someone like fucking made the whole mountain, like tiled it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like it's just gotten eroded, and like it looks like a dirty ass floor, and he's just looking over and he's like, why are all these cubes? And he shows it, big old fucking measured cubes, and you did it with his drone. He's like, look, and there's like a whole grid fucking pattern. Looked like the whole fucking mountain could have been just fucking laid out like that.
Now, how do you know that's not an ancient civilization site either?
You don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Because they were talking about this with the archaeologist. Was that guy Graham?
Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock. He was talking about that, whereas like, you don't find these in nature. You don't find this in nature. And he was debating a younger architect who's a part of like the university, whatever the fuck. And he's like, you don't see this in nature. Like, this is not a thing. And they were talking about these underwater temples that had the same thing that you're talking about, just like square cut, straight lines kind of a thing. And he's like, no, that looks very interesting, and I think we need more study on it, but it's not, you know,
man-made.
Like Graham was saying that it has to be man-made, and the other guy was saying that it has to be just really studied more because of the straight line theory. But I don't know. Now that you've got me questioning my own straight line theory, I'm like, that's rocks, man.
Well, what's interesting, again, we talked about I wanted to send you, I think I did, but the pictures of the hematite salt next to like meat and shit.
Yeah, you did send it to me, but my problem is that after a certain time of the day, whoa. Oh, I just slipped.
You okay?
This is what happens when we have this in a park. So the problem that I have is that after a certain point of the day, my phone goes to black and white, so I have no idea what anything actually looks like.
Well, they did a bunch of like, pictures next to like chunks of meat and stuff, and it's just extremely eerie.
Oh, I'm gonna go look it up right now.
Yeah.
You'll get my unboxing reaction, my natural reaction.
And I love the whole ancient giant tree theory, because everyone is perfectly accepting that we've got little petrified trees, right? Oh, petrified wood, yeah. But no, like mainstream cannot accept that you have large, giant petrified trees. Like that doesn't make any logical sense apparently for them. But I'm like, it literally takes so many pictures. You look at these mountains and you're like, how is that not a petrified tree stump the size of a fucking goddamn skyscraper?
Is this it? Or no, this is that Tartaria thing.
I mean, it's all kind of around the same shit, because it goes in with that. And then basically what it is it shows you, and the theory is that this hematite salt is actually petrified giant flesh. Because they show you like burrowing in these mountains, and it just looks like fucking, okay, here's this. Okay, that's another thing when they found this giant burrow hole for no reason.
Yeah, I thought at the end of this burrow hole it looked like hematite
I don't
salt
think this
squishy.
one.
No?
Yeah, I send you too much crazy shit.
You send me a lot of interesting stuff. Low vibration energy.
Just the layers of the fat and the meat and everything, and just how it looks like the hematite
Yeah, I
salt
remember you sending it to me, and I didn't like go back to relook at it because what's up for me, Flycatcher? Thank you for blessing our little podcast. But yeah, we got one subscriber, okay, and it's either one of our close friends or Joe Rogan.
Probably Joe Rogan. He listens to it at night. He's like, I get inspiration from these guys.
These guys are on the up and up. They're so funny because they're so bad. Look at episode 18.
It's like one of those cartoons that does really well, but you look at it and you're just like, the production value is shit, but people just love it,
But
like the drawing is shit, production shit. You're like, it's got good fucking
so what was I talking about with the ADHD thing and not paying attention to the stuff that you sent me? Because I'm like, oh look, shiny object. Woo, let's go.
Hematite salt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Tartaria. Bacon. But yes, I remember that. I just didn't see it stacked up next to bacon. Because it was literally just like gray, black, white, or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'll go look at that tomorrow. And then tomorrow came and real life happened. So, I mean, there's that. There is that. So, this is sad. I'm kind of sad that this is going to be our last podcast done on this format. We're going to have to figure something out.
Life moves forward, and it's okay. We can. Besides, YouTube's a different platform from that. You get to see and hear.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because they're pushing this Anchor thing, which I'm pretty sure is their other company, and props to them for figuring this out. And I'd like to have some revenue before we super dive into something like that. I was thinking about can AI edit our podcast and edit the grunts and groans from our workout out?
Well, we just need to have that studio and just sit there and not worry about grunts and groans. But again, too, I think, you might be worried too much about something small. I don't know if that's what's keeping us back. I think it's just exposure. There's a lot of that stuff out there,
Mm-hmm.
Besides, again, too, it's like binge watching a good show you just found. Would you rather it have 2 or 3 seasons you didn't know about, or just 10 episodes?
That's fair. 2 or 3 seasons. It's like you go into an anime and you're like, this is the best anime ever. I can't wait until season 2 comes out. Oh my God, it was made 17 years ago.
Exactly. And you cut off and there's nothing left.
Yeah.
Yep. Or you just found it and it's new and there are new episodes coming out and you can hold on to that. Yeah. I absolutely like that. Yeah.
Or it's like you go and you're like, Twilight is the greatest thing ever, and you realize that there's Twilight fanfic, and you're like, yeah, I could just read all this all the time.
Kind of.
Because Twilight was so good.
Twilight.
Nah.
Meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, over to pull-ups. Oh, should we blip? Is it time? It's about time to blip. Let's just take a break. Fingerprint, acknowledgement, and we've stopped recording. No, we haven't stopped recording. It's time to blip. Nice. Woo! Putting the plane together in the air, folks. All right, back in a blip. It's YouTube gold right there. Just two guys sweating in a box.
Hey, before you,
Oh, I could stop this. Hold on. We'll be right back. Yeah. Wow. I was just told there's a used condom sitting by my door.
Yep.
Crispy. And I'm sad about it. All right. Well, thanks for that heads up. All right. What else flares your mind this morning?
I don't know. I think everything is good. I'm gonna go watch the new Garfield movie for whatever dumbass reason. It's okay. Just running out of movies to go watch.
I was just having a conversation about how I hate movies. I hate sitting there for movies. It feels like I've wasted my time. Like, a good movie doesn't make you feel like you've wasted your time, right? But sometimes you're like, I'm gonna sue you because I want my fucking time back.
That's your fault for not doing enough research on your material.
On the movie?
Yeah, they have trailers for a reason.
Well, the trailers usually give the best parts of the damn movie away. So you're like, yeah, this is going to be a great movie. And you're like, oh, saw that in the trailer. That was good.
Well, let me ask you something. You read books?
I listen to books.
Okay, well, I'll just cut to the point. People either usually read the back of it that explains the entire book in like fucking a paragraph, or they'll flip through it and read the end of it or the beginning of it or some section, so you have to know something about it, or at least the director or something, so not everything catches you off guard and it is your area. Don't tell me you just like watching comedy and then you went and watched a horror movie and it wasn't good. Well, no shit, you're not a horror fan.
That's fair. I mean, I am not a horror fan. I do not like horror movies.
There are tons of people. I don't know if it's just women. I swear I see way more women into horror than men. I don't know if it's just I just noticed it.
Yeah,
more.
right? That's
women, like
scary
way
shit.
more women love like obsessed with the killers and like movies and shit. Like guys love horror movies, but I don't see too many. They may have like one Jason tattoo, but there's a common thing about chicks right now, women. Just noticing that there's like 8 murder, serial killer, fucking, a lot of chicks are into serial killer documentaries and stuff, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
They like to be scared.
Our mutual friend is obsessed with it, and my wife is obsessed with it, and I don't get it. They're just like, we love, like, my wife tried to explain it to me. She's like, I love to figure out their mindset and like how they got caught when it comes to like the serial killer. What do they call them? Documentaries. But after that, it's like, why focus? Why put your energy into something like that?
It's interesting. Like I'm just curious on the notification, not
yeah,
condemning or condoning. I'm just like,
I'm sure there's a whole reason for it, and there's a justification for it, and that's why it's an industry and it exists, just like our weird ass podcast exists because we think it's cool.
I think not only just some people like to be scared, like you get the roller coaster kind of effect, but I think women in general like to feel afraid and then feel comfort. I think it's that dopamine rush afterwards. It's kind of like, why do people do things that give them adrenaline? They don't give a shit about jumping out the plane. They care about that. Woo!
Yeah. And then I did it. I survived.
Yeah.
I can see that. Absolutely.
Psychology. I think it's the, not say hero effect, but I don't know. Maybe it just, I don't know. After everything's said and done, you're still fine. Yeah, you have that endorphin rush of...
Yeah. And then they want to have that shared experience so that way they feel safe with you. It's like, oh my gosh, you protected me.
Oh, there you go. See?
I don't know, man. I don't know. On this podcast, we should really start doing that. Just like hit topics. Just like, hey, next week we're going to talk about this and actually fucking study it. I'm just going to throw that out there. It might give our content a little bit better quality.
You talking about consistency? Whoa.
Yeah, because there comes a point in these that was like, all right, I just said everything I needed to say.
Yeah, but you know what? I haven't watched too much a full episode of, ninjas or butterflies or ninjas, but again, too, it just kind of seems like what you do is spark enough intrigue that people go research shit themselves, or like, hey, I thought about that, because, I think it might be boring to go off of too much of the same subject. Let's use Joe Rogan, for example, excuse me. They talk about like 16 different things.
Yeah.
Kind of, everyone's expertise and whatever, but...
Joe Rogan has the benefit of having guests on the podcast, and they have an area of expertise that they talk about, and then moving on. But like the comedians, writers, producers, actors, and comedians that he has on his show, it all ends up with Tesla or
Graham Hancock.
No, I was gonna say nutrition, or what's the other thing? His cold plunges and sauna health.
Oh, David Goggins.
David Goggins on Joe Rogan would be so awesome.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah,
watch it. They've done it.
I just like the whole 2-3 hour effect. So I've been watching this. So I'm like, I need to be more funny. I need to study how people are funny and what's actually comedy. So I found this thing that Joe Rogan pushes, because it happens at his club, The Mothership, which I'm not going to talk trash about because they'll probably squash us quicker than the fucking CIA could. But this podcast, Kill Tony, have you heard of it? Heard it? Or any of that stuff? Right on. So this guy, Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, okay, I've heard of him. Mustache, right? A mustache?
I don't know. I don't know what he looks like. This is how new it is to me. It's been going on for 11 years, and I just discovered it this past week, because that's one of the things that Joe Rogan talks about all the time is, Kill Tony. I'm like, why does he talk about it? Oh, it's a podcast in his comedy club, The Mothership. And I'm like, all right. So I pop it in. I'm listening to it. I'm like, all right, cool. This is kind of funny. All right. I get it. The panel of established comedians, quote unquote, like give 1 minute to hopeful comedians. And every time they have maybe they'll have somebody new, and maybe they'll have somebody who's a veteran a veteran of their show come back.
Yeah.
And it's basically these comedians just roasting the new person. They're like, give us your best uninterrupted minute. And some people are bad. They're just so bad. It's terrible. Like it's recorded in front of a live audience, so you get immediate feedback from that comedian. And then Kill Tony will give his opinion, and the panelists will give their opinion. They'll give an interview with the new comedian, and it's terrible. Like, to listen to them just roast a new comic is just terrible. It's like, oh, you got famous because you're shitting on new people. Got it. And then every once in a while, like, what's the big guy that's on Joe Rogan's podcast a lot? He does the Protect Our Parks episodes. I can't think of the guy's name, but he got his start at Kill Tony. There's a couple of people that are regulars on Joe Rogan that got their start on Kill Tony, and I'm like, so it goes either way. You feast or famine with your career based on your appearance on this, for your 1 minute on this fucking show. Like the other day, I listened to 2 whole episodes of this, and this kid literally drove to Austin, Texas from Iowa and did a minute and bombed terribly. And they started interviewing him, and was like, what other kind of jokes that you got? And he lays out this joke, and everybody dies laughing. Absolutely dies laughing. And Kill Tony's like, why didn't you do that one? He's like, I don't know. I haven't slept in 24 hours because I drove straight here. It's like, fuck.
Nice.
Damn. I mean, if you're going to shoot your shot, that's a good way to do it. But seems like all the new comedians are moving to Austin to try and get their start at the Mothership because of how big Joe Rogan is.
Huh. Interesting.
But on the other side, this kind of applies to our podcast. Like, they will stop and they'll have some horrible recording of them promoting whatever sponsor is for their podcast. And it sounds terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's like, it's a really bad echo. this is just on the 1 or 2 episodes that I listened to. There's a really bad echo. It's terrible production quality. Like, it's awful. I'll play it for you when the mics are done. But it is awful. And I'm like, why are you guys just doing this way? So people know when to come back to the show, skip the commercial and come back? Why would you do that? Especially if you have 11 years.
It's got to be something. Honestly, though, too, I notice what they talk about, and we as little people don't notice. They test all kinds of shit out.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Different
Rogan,
fucking,
hi.
thumbnails, different all kinds of shit.
Well, it's not just the thumbnail. I think it's a lot of the quality of the production that you're doing, Like you said when we first started this podcast, these momos are doing it. Why can't we do it? And I'm like, man, yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Then I get put on the spot and I'm like, I'm ill prepared.
Yeah. It's all about perspective. I am not ill prepared. I have been further educated on that subject.
Further educated on that subject. I'm going to go and watch this. So, I forgot the guy's name too, man. I was just going to go into this whole further education of all this stuff. Billy Carson. You've heard of this dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard something from him the other day and it made me kind of think. He's like, aliens look like us. And you wouldn't be able to tell sitting next to one of them how human species and aliens are the same appearance, have the same appearance. I thought that was kind of worth our weird.
What I really think is what would solve a lot of the paranormal or just different stuff in our world. I think we're basically cavemen running around with George Jetson. I think we're the caveman running around, and there's some motherfuckers out there that are got all the shit we fucking dream of, but they're just it's limited. You can't have everyone, or just now there's a whole different fucking thing, and that's the aliens. Is they're literally hundreds and hundreds of years advanced compared to us.
If you think about the technology between 1950, when these alien spacecraft started first appearing after the nuclear bombs went off. If you look at the technology from then to now, in this, not even 100-year period, it's 70 years, something like that?
Okay.
And how fast it evolved from then till now. I mean, we're of an age where we're older than Google, you know what I mean? Nobody had Google to go show them how to repair pipes. They had Grandpa. This is the way you solder. There you go. Now you can watch thousands of YouTube videos in seconds, milliseconds on how to do that. You know what I mean?
I mean, you can go way further back when you're talking about the Atlantean crystallized. We talk about it now with quantum crystals or crystals and how you can imprint information on these quartz crystals and shit. And all the ancient civilizations had the big similarity of crystals and all this other stuff. And so imagine having that technology. The world going to shit, you still having it, and then everyone is literally running around being like, fire, ooh.
Yeah. And it goes back to your George Jetson theory, too, of okay, maybe since we tried to, kill the planet and blow ourselves up, maybe George Jetson was like, you know what these motherfuckers need? They motherfucking need some radio. Have some radio. That'll lead to the internet. That'll lead to television and broadcasting. That'll lead to personal fucking computer devices in your pocket.
Well, not completely my theory. Someone else had it, because again, too, let's break this down a little bit. So first of all, there's an episode of the Jetsons where they go into the future, right? So pause that for a second. The Flintstones, what are they called? The modern Stone Age family. Yeah. Modern, right now.
Okay.
So the Jetsons are from the future. They go into the future in that episode where they're interacting with the Flintstones.
So the Jetsons went into the future to get with a Stone Age
family. So again, what happened is they had this advanced technology, and in the future, we're all back to cavemen. So now he's in the future now, having all this high technology, our future, our present, and we're cavemen.
What point do you think we got put back into the quote-unquote Stone Age? 2024 years ago?
No, I think, again, too, it's that we had high civilization. I don't think it was... Yes, it was world-reaching, but it wasn't like we have world-reaching right now, right? It's almost completely covered the world, so to say. We had larger pockets.
Yeah.
Right? and something happened, and then all of that got wiped out, but you still had some of it remnants around, and then that's where the whole Shambhala and inner earth and all that stuff happened. So they stayed on that track, stayed at that high technology, kept advancing, while the rest of the world went back to zero, and slowly, while these motherfuckers are thousands of years in advance. And that's the whole alien, inner earth, fucking everything that's going on, who we're really controlled by those motherfuckers. And yeah, they look just like us. Why? Because you give anyone high-ass technology for hundreds of years in a generation, like they're going to be completely different than somebody else. It's like the whole, your country.
Yeah, Carson has that theory, too, that they look like just like us because somebody went, hey, you know, the angel theory?
Yeah.
The angels impregnating women, which is why the Muslim women must cover their hair because the alien or angels were like, you so fine, I think I'm going to have a baby with you, you know? So, I mean, there's some clout to every theory out there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it makes sense that, you know, these people were like more advanced because they live in the inner earth or the dark side of the moon or wherever the fuck they live. They could live in Mars for all I care, you know?
That's a whole other subject.
Huh?
That's a whole other subject.
Yeah, it really is. But nevertheless, it's like, how did they interfere in our inner species? Oh, part of you is this, part of you is that. The one guy that...
Shit, did you see the toe test?
No.
So apparently I saw this thing on the internets. So you've got different toe patterns, and it tells what kind of person your like lineage is. Egyptian, Roman, Celtic, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Looking at some people's toes, I was like, you're Celtic. Because that, not the pinky toe, but the, I would say index toe, maybe?
Middle toe.
Is slightly bigger than the fucking second big toe.
So one of my toes is that way, and the other one is the other way. So does that mean I'm like half Egyptian, half Celtic?
Maybe. I got to look that back up, but I know I'm Egyptian. Most of mine are just straight fucking pyramid, bro. I got pyramid feet. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're the whitest Egyptian I've ever met, then.
You know, what's interesting, too, like, that's just... You go back far enough, and again, too, okay, so being Egyptian, there was the whole Ptolemy, the dynasty from Ptolemy, after Alexander the Great, was ruled by the Greeks for X amount of time. So technically, were they not of Egyptian descent, but it's like, let me throw some out there, might be unpolitically correct, like white African.
Crossbreeding?
Well, no, they're from Africa. They live in Africa. They're raised and born in Africa. They're white Africans.
Well, okay.
Technically, you know.
So I could follow you on this.
The same thing. I don't know. It's just fucked up, you know.
I could follow you on this because the theory states, the current accepted theory states that we all came from one African mother. Mm-hmm. And throughout the generations, we've spanned the globe. And, you know, like, you know, you don't really know this firsthand, but when like a teenager wants to rebel against their parents, they leave, right? Yeah. And that's got its whole genetic processing thing. But people have left their tribes and started other tribes and all that stuff and started fornicating in different parts of the world. And then when you're at the higher equator levels, closer to the poles or whatever, you're not as sunbeat. Like England right now, I'm just going to say that because they conquered in the world and all that stuff. England was a place that's very rainy, very cold, and not a whole lot of sun rays, you know, as opposed to somewhere like Sudan where the sun just beats down on you all the damn time. So yeah, your body is going to adapt and over time.
You're talking about how different squirrels are different. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, different squirrels are different because of the different terrain that they live in, but it's all the same basic. It's the same basic building.
I keep seeing there's a bird up there, either eating another bird. There it is. I see some feathers coming down, or molting its little baby bird. Yeah, I love that. I want to call it a skin abnormality or skin disease, where you literally changes everyone's pigment.
It's not a skin disease. It's the melatonin within our own human body.
No. There's some sort of abnormality where people's like. They've got patches of different colored skin.
Oh, you know okay, yeah, the actual disease,
yeah, or whatever. But I think honestly, it's perfect because it literally shows everyone. They're like, you see that? See how you're all the same? I just rub your color off. You get that? You see that? You see this, guys?
Yeah.
That's every time I look at it, I'm like, they're whiter than me. Like I've seen that, and it is crazy because I love looking at racist people and being like, you see that? See how white that person is? You asshole.
It's not a matter of racism. It's a matter of different calibers of people. Like we have that theory of different calibers of people because it doesn't matter what their skin tone is.
Yes, exactly.
You can be talking to a freaking genius running all of the racial gamut, you know?
Absolutely.
And then at the same time, you could find that same racial gamut and be like, you have a favorite color, blue, don't you?
Yeah, everybody, yep.
Your favorite flavor of crayon is pink. I get it. You know? Same age, same ethnicity, same everything, just one is like, the other one is not. Which I think is a detriment to our society. But I think we gotta like get walking, my man. It's time to blip. Let's get walking. We'll unblip back at the truck and just have a good discussion there. Wrap it up or something. All right. See you in about 20 minutes, but it'll be 2 seconds for you. Blip. So we had some technical difficulties at the end of episode 19 that cut out basically 20 minutes of the podcast. I like to apologize for that, and I'd like to apologize for episode 18. Anyway, keep it weird. Follow us, like us, share us, subscribe. You know the drill. Thanks.